didn't even see that. Oopsies. Oh yeah, I definitely like the consistency. It is way better. That's really hard. That's a free knockout. That's a free knockout. Shit. But I need it. If he got it, he got it. Otherwise, Mon's in trouble, yes. Oh, shit. Oh, messed up on that one. Oops. Damn it. Damn it. Whoopsie daisy. Alright, now this is not a good play here. Fellas, it is not a good play whatsoever. So we got a bit of a thing we can do here easily. Sure. So I'm thinking you just take these out. I'm thinking which would I rather do though? I'm like, sure, bruh. Okay. So, what are we gonna do? Bam! Now, we have 2, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so we have... Okay, so we don't have any more of those. Watch, I think we can still come back with ordinary rod. Oh yeah, you keep that same energy, man. You keep that same motherfucking energy. Okay. Keep that same fucking energy, dog. Keep that same motherfucking energy. Alright, so. Probably not a good idea, but we can hold ours. And then we'll just do a little switch. And then what we can do is go boss this one. Got me there. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, did not know. Had I not done that, I think, yeah, next several turns I would win with Greninja. But we, you know, those are the risks we take. It does feel weird without any disruption or like Roxanne's. So I need to have a Roxanne, more than one, bro. So it's tough. Like if I take this out and I put a Roxanne in, like a Marnie. Alright, 2 Roxannes. So that looks pretty solid. Really solid.
And I was just thinking, is this my 5th time?
I think so.
Dude, I feel so blessed.
I'm blessed to have you.
It's like, holy crap, man. 5 times in 3 years.
Come on, brother.
And and we had, of course, the first show in the old new studio.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you were the first.
Well, we remember we had to wait for like 2 hours, and the mics weren't working, and we couldn't use headphones, and then we made a big mistake of getting really high.
You remember?
I remember you calling me like.
I don't remember it being a mistake.
No,
I remember it being the right move.
You called me a couple days later and said, "Dude, we have to do that over. We need a do-over now." I'm like, yeah,
we were barbecue.
Yeah, we were.
But
we were barbecue.
That's part of the fun.
Yeah. Well, and the place looks phenomenal. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you. So what's the reason why you can't smoke cigars? So there's a reason. As you puff on that robot dick.
Well, okay. So I did something at the end of last year, which I should have done 10 years ago. I had a real problem.
Psychedelic experience?
No, I wish. No. Well, it wound up kind of being a cool experience, but the bone in my jaws degenerated. You know where you go to the dentist and they stick that thing in and they go
Uh-huh.
2, 3,
Right, yeah.
5, no, 9, 11, and that's millimeters. So I had like a good it's a pocket. So the bone had just degenerated, and so I was really a candidate for full-on dentures.
Oh, Jesus.
Exactly. And so I found these great dentists, one in Fredericksburg, one in Kerrville, and one does all the cosmetic stuff. I said, look, dude, I cannot have dentures. And first of all, my wife will never sleep with me again. That's the worst thing.
Yeah, if you have them laying on
I'm not going to put shit in the glass next to me at night. No. Second, I'm really worried about my speech.
Right.
I can't be flipping and doing all that shit. This is what I do for a living. So they figured out they could remove 12 teeth.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Amen. 12 teeth. And now, mind you, I've never had any procedure. I've never been under anesthesia. I've never even had an IV. So, and quite frankly, I was quite terrified of it. But it had to be done because as they did the scans, they do I think it's a CT scan. You can slice through your head. Not only was this degenerating, but it had gotten all the way up to my sinuses, and there was a low-level infection.
Holy shit, you didn't know?
I thought I had allergies.
Wow.
And so we'd always go out to eat in Austin, and then be like, Austin is filled with shit because the minute I'm eating in a restaurant, it's like, it's just streaming down. Like, what is going on? Turns out, eating, you're aggravating the infection and the sinuses, and it just, it would just really get bad.
Oh my God.
So I didn't even know this until, just before I got this procedure. So the idea is they knocked out 12 teeth, 4 in the front, 4 at the bottom, and then, a couple of these molars, which was, I was fucking afraid.
Did you take pictures? Did you look like a
dude,
West Virginia smile?
Yeah, no, I'll show you. I'll show you. It's you're gonna think it's a TikTok filter when you see it. But so they put me under for 5.5 hours with fentanyl.
Hot damn.
Exactly. Now, mind you, I'm there. My wife is there. I'm like, and he's putting the IV. And I was more afraid of the IV than anything. Like, I've never had this. Like,
You've never had an IV?
never. No. And so it goes in. I'm like, was that it? No. And I'm out. But I kept waking up. And of course, by then you're anesthetized and everything. And I kept waking up during this procedure, and they would hit me with some more fentanyl. I didn't even know. And I guess medical fentanyl is pretty normal to use for this kind of procedure. And later they said, any red hair in the family? Like, red hair? No. Any Irish in the family? No. Because apparently red hair and Irish have high tolerance for all kinds of anesthesia and drugs.
Interesting.
And I said,
Hello, Bill Burr.
And I said, how about, I grew up in Amsterdam. Oh, yeah, that's probably, we gave you enough fentanyl to put an elephant under, man. It's like, okay, but I kept waking up, and I remember a lot of it specifically.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's how swollen my face was.
Oh, my God. Whoa.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That looks like a filter.
That's what no one believes it. So
Yeah.
that's what I look
It looks
like.
like a TikTok filter.
Yeah, so, and so now I'm ossifying my bone. So they put titanium.
What is that word? Ossified.
It's growing. You're growing bone.
Oh.
And what you couldn't do, the technology is amazing. You couldn't do this 15 years ago. They'd have to get some bone from your hip and graft that on.
Ossified.
Turn into bone.
Rigid
Right?
or
Yeah.
Fixed in attitude.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Turn into bony tissue.
So they put a titanium plate on the top and the bottom with 2 little screws, titanium screws, and then some plates in where the molars were. And then they take some of your own blood. They mix it up with some, I think, pig blood and maybe some Uyghur bones or something. So who knows who knows? We don't really ask about that. If I start speaking Chinese, then you know what's up.
No.
And so now in the growth process, and so I have a bridge here. And I think they look good. I mean, these are temporary, but like, hi, I can smile.
They look totally normal.
Thank you.
That's no idea.
That's Hollywood. And
So those are temporary, and then eventually they have to do those posts.
Yes.
I had
Yeah.
a buddy of mine who got
Yeah.
his teeth knocked out in a hockey game, and
Yeah.
he's got like posts, and
Mhm.
he had magnets. So
oh,
had
he
his
could
teeth
take them out. Dunk.
like stuck up there with a magnet.
Oh, I should ask about that.
Oh, do you
I mean-
want that, or do you want them permanent?
Well, I want it permanent, but
Yeah.
there may be benefit to putting a different, put a little fang in there or something. Hello, how you doing?
Great for Halloween.
So-
yeah, one time a year you do.
So I literally have these 2 bridges are connected to my canine teeth,
Wow.
and they have to adjust them because it's going to be 6 months before the bone is ossified enough to then put the posts in and the permanent teeth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but these guys are great. They're like mid-30s.
What
they know what
caused
they're
your
doing.
bone to deteriorate like that?
Part of it's genetics. Also, when I was young, like 2 or 3, we lived in Uganda for a couple of years. And my parents, they were also young parents, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing, I guess. So they put me to bed every night with a chocolate cookie. So by the time I was 11, now 9, I just had cavities and all kinds of shit going on.
Man.
And that's where I developed an incredible fear of dentists, so later on, as I said, I should have done it 10 years ago, but going through a divorce, and the dentist was actually some gay guy started hitting on me, and I was like,
Fun times.
I'm like, no,
That's not the guy you want putting under.
He would call me with, hi, say hi to Bob. I'm like, nah, what are you doing, man? No, so I didn't want any of that. But I'm so happy I did it, because not only as it almost fixed my sinuses just by removing them, just by clearing that all up, I also hear better. I have my hearing aids. Yeah, not that it's louder per se, but I hear more high end. So
because of the lack of infection.
Of course. Yeah.
So did they have to treat the infection with IV antibiotics? Like, how do they treat the infection?
Well, this was the downer. Well, the infection just kind of goes away. I mean, I don't think I had any. Oh, I did have some
oral.
Yeah, just some pill I would take.
Mm-hmm.
But for pain, they gave me ibuprofen and hydrocodone.
Whoa.
And the hydrocodone I took for maybe 5 days. You take ibuprofen, hydrocodone, and it did nothing for me.
Alright, enough gaming right now. Gotta take a breaky break. Oh shit, let me stand there. Interesting deck. I like the quick balls. I like how basically how streamlined it is. However, sometimes I do feel naked without the against your vital. But because I draw better, I set up better and prepare better. So therefore I can deal with the vital. So it's gonna be interesting. What we changed is 2 quick balls for 2 of the thingies. 1 Cramorant for another switch. And what did we do? Oh yeah, so we took out the boss. So we play only 2 boss, increased the consistency. Yeah. The boss, the Cramorant, 2 Parasols for that. So let's continue actually one more. Let's do one more.
This is going to be fun. Let's start with a heartfelt poem to thank the Canva community. Thank you, Canva community, for all the amazing things you do. Designs that inspire and motivate, creativity that shines through.
Poetry in motion. How about an elevator pitch for
The Joe Rogan Experience.
How long before TikTok's banned?
Well, let me tell you what's going on with the TikTok. I have a very opinionated explanation for what is going on with TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok was eating Silicon Valley's lunch. They were taking all the ad money from Instagram, from Twitter, from Google. I'd say Google and Instagram, and Facebook, just killing it, knocking it out of the fucking park. So look at who is saying, "Oh, it's China and they're tracking everything and that's just Communist Party." Dude, Facebook tracks you, Google tracks you, everyone fucking tracks you all over the place. But all of a sudden TikTok is a problem? No. It's because they're eating their lunch, and instead of competing, because they've tried, no one can seem to create the TikTok algorithm and the thing that they have going there. It's what people want, the quick hits, the sing-alongs, etc. So they decided to lobby politicians and come up with this scam. So it's Hawley, it's Marco Rubio. Oh no, this is China. Fuck no. It's because Silicon Valley couldn't compete with them. That's what's going on.
Interesting.
Oh yeah,
That's an interesting perspective.
Just look at. I know a lot about the advertising business because I ran companies that were in that. There was so much. Everyone was buying TikTok. No, and when you have a big company like Facebook or Google who are tied into government. How many times have they been to DC to explain what they're doing? And so that's all controlled. That's the only avenue they have to compete is to. You got to get these guys out of here, and luckily, even though it's American companies that run it, it's China. So now I'm not a China fan, but this is a fucking scam. They are just taking them down to get rid of the competition. It's very sad.
That's interesting because they're not taking them down, right? Still up.
Oh, they will.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Eventually?
Oh yeah. It's already it's banned at UT. You can't have TikTok on your phone.
But at the same time, there is a real problem with the terms of service. At the same time, I see what you're saying, and I see why they would want to do that. But they have an extraordinarily invasive software.
It's no different from any other app that you have on your phone.
It's no different?
I disagree. No.
So you think that all of the other apps can track your keystrokes on other computers?
Fuck yeah.
Computers that aren't even connected to that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
So they're lying.
Why doesn't Apple kick it off? Because people use it. If Apple doesn't have TikTok, people will actually give up their iPhones. They're not going to kick it off. Now, what Apple did, if you remember, they changed some things in what they allow apps to do, and that took about $10 billion off of Facebook's income
Yes.
because they couldn't sell the information that way anymore.
Right, and they were mad.
And TikTok is less interested in selling your information. They're getting the ad dollars. So people, it's continuous ad money. The whole thing is a big ad. Everything's an ad.
Yeah, if you're a guy like Zuckerberg, like you can't use an iPhone, huh?
What do you mean?
I mean, if Apple did that to his company and then, made it so that they lost that much money in advertising revenue by changing some.
Well, not advertising.
features.
They're basically selling your information
Yeah.
and creating profiles, and they all do it. I mean, that's why I have the Graphene OS. I've had this phone for a while. I just don't.
This is a different one than you had before. The one you had, you had an old iPhone that had been converted, and then you went to
a Pixel. So we basically rip all the Google stuff off, and this is the 6. I had the 4. It was just time to upgrade. And the screen was cracking, it's falling apart. And yet, if you're connected to a network, you're still, they still know where you are.
Yeah.
But the apps cannot spy on me. I know what the apps are doing. They're running a sandbox, so nothing goes in or out unless I give it that permission.
That's Graphene OS.
Yeah. NoAgendaPhone.com. Instructions are right there on how to do it.
So you think that most of the applications, are they just not telling you the truth about what they're allowed to do with the terms and the permissions?
People don't care.
But are they? Is it written in there and no one's paying attention to it, or is it just they're not putting that stuff in there? Because what I'm saying is that at least it says in TikTok's terms, like it's outrageous, but some of it is like you monitoring your keystrokes and having access to your microphones and stuff like that.
Yeah, they all have it.
They all have that.
They all have it. Why would they not do it?
But it was also one of the points of concern for some people was that it was linked to computers that aren't even loaded up with TikTok. Like they're not even connected.
Everything is tracked. There's only one telephone company, is the U.S. government. They have everything. Everything is recorded. Everything that you put on a network anywhere that goes in Utah, they've got the big data centers. They're all cooled underwater. There's all kinds of high-tech shit.
Yeah.
And whenever they need to find out what Joe Rogan's doing, let's pull up Rogan. Did he text Curry on Signal? What day was it? It just comes up.
Right.
It comes up. And that Signal,
To do with the terms and the permissions.
people don't care.
But are they? Is it written in there and no one's paying attention to it, or is it just they're not putting that stuff in there? Because what I'm saying is that at least it says in TikTok's terms, like it's outrageous, but some of it is like you monitoring your keystrokes and having access to your microphones and stuff like that.
Yeah, they all have it.
They all have that.
They all have it. Why would they not do it?
But it was also one of the points of concern for some people was that it was linked to computers that aren't even loaded up with TikTok. Like they're not even connected.
Everything is tracked. There's only one telephone company, is the U.S. government. They have everything. Everything is recorded. Everything that you put on a network anywhere goes in Utah. They've got the big data centers. They're all cooled underwater. There's all kinds of high-tech shit.
Yeah.
And whenever they need to find out what Joe Rogan's doing, let's pull up Rogan. Did he text Curry on Signal? What day was it? It just comes up.
Right.
It comes up. And that Signal, encryption is a problem, which is a problem for the government. But again, how many companies just give up the goods? Apple does maybe 30,000 a month or something. What do you need? We'll give it to you. They pay for it. The FBI pays. We know that from the Twitter files. It's like, hey, we need information on this account. Okay, that's $5,000. And okay, no problem. We'll just pay. These numbers, I'm making them up, but there were millions of dollars that they paid Twitter just for handing over account information.
I think Twitter never really collected, though. Is that true? I'm pretty sure that's true.
Well, Facebook certainly did, and Google certainly does, and they publish those numbers. They publish the numbers that they I don't know where, but
I think that was a part of that narrative because there was a giant bill that the FBI had owed Twitter. It was like $3 million.
Yeah.
Apparently, they never paid. Find out if that's true.
Well, they're Welches. What the hell?
Yeah.
FBI, you
According
bastards.
to the USA Today, it says,
There we go. USA Today.
Well, I can't find it.
Well, let's see what we got.
No, this is the right message. You
It
want to
says
know
it's
what USA
conflating
Today
two
said.
separate events.
Okay, first, the documents released by new Twitter owner Elon Musk show that the FBI flagged Twitter accounts the agency believed violated Twitter's terms of service. Second, another document shows the FBI paid Twitter $3.4 million for Twitter's processing of information requests the FBI made through a Stored Communications Act. The $3.4 million is unrelated to the FBI flagging accounts.
Yeah, that's unrelated.
Right, but it's also like we're giving you a lot of money.
It's unrelated, yeah.
But did they actually pay the money? That was the question.
Well, I think you can look at this paying for account information, because the Silicon Valley companies are like, well, we're not going to do this work for free. You got to pay. We got to put people on it.
Right,
So
but-
it's normal.
But if they didn't pay it off, that's like, did
that's
they
fucked
owe
up.
it still?
That's fucked up.
Are they going to give it to Elon? Like, how does that work? If they did, but
It's
I don't
a
know
drop
if they
in the
didn't.
bucket at this
Maybe
point.
someone erroneously reported that, and I just read it.
Well, I think what we're seeing with Twitter
See if you
is
can find it though.
I'm looking.
Okay.
what we're seeing with Twitter is it was not a very profitable company. It, kind of ran a little
Yeah,
bit
it takes a
profitable.
lunatic to spend $44 billion to get a not very profitable company so that he can let people just talk shit.
Well, I think he's doing more. I think
He is.
And I'm not sure. I listened to someone sent me the clip of you and him about 4 years ago talking about AI and how that's going to take over the world and how he tried to stop it and now he seems to be all in on it. But I think that's his X.com, which is what he wanted PayPal to be, and that didn't turn out the way he wanted. And he's literally said, I want it to be like WeChat. I mean, he has said that. I want it to be your bank. I want to be your social, that app you use, super app. He calls it a super app. That's what he's doing. And of course, with that, once you have authenticated everybody with a real name, you don't need trust and safety. If someone does something bad, it's that person,
Right.
and we can send the feds on them, or the feds can go themselves, or you can have a lawyer sue you if you say something slanderous.
Yeah.
But it will be the thing that you use, like in China, for everything. And that, he said that, so it's his words. And so it behooves him to keep as many people on the platform by just letting it open. It's beautiful to watch. I don't know if he's overextended himself a little bit on the cost of it. It's costing him a lot. It's costing him in value, in Tesla stock value, and he seems to be okay with that, which is great. We'll see. I mean, it's a big nut to crack to do that, to create the WeChat of America or the rest of the world. But then I see like Starlink, which to me Starlink was what a amazing fucking invention. I have it at home. Like, you put this fucking dish on the ground, burp, burp, and I got internet, and it's fast and it's groovy. But of course, where does the real money come in? Now it's a military system, which I think was probably the plan all along. I mean, it's great to give consumers this for $110 a month. But when you have the military, and that came out of Ukraine, how he said, hey, you should pay me for this. And they went, no, fuck you, you should do this just because you're a good guy. And after a while, he's like, I'm moving satellites around, you should probably pay me to do this as a service. And I forget what it's called, but it is now an actual government military service that is used in the field.
It is kind of bizarre that a country can say, hey, you should just kind of hook us up.
That was the U.S.
be a good
government
person.
saying that. The U.S. government was saying that.
This is what I've found about that.
Okay, here it goes. A former Facebook security
I'm sorry.
executive has called
What?
Elon Musk's claim that the FBI paid Twitter to moderate content false. Alex Stamos, and this is what we were talking about earlier, that it was that you can't like say that this is
Please,
exactly.
someone tell me what is going on.
That's not what I
Stamos-
said.
No, I'm not saying you did. Comment comes from after journalist Michael Schellenberger shared a redacted screenshot of a 2021 email showing that Twitter had collected over $3.4 million from a reimbursement program for time spent processing FBI requests.
That was just
Okay,
information
right.
requests. It wasn't
Right.
deplatforming requests. I totally agree with that.
I agree with that too, but you also could recognize that if there is a deal where compensation is being paid to your company to the tune of $3.4 million, like that's a significant
It's a
business transaction.
But it was because of tens of thousands of accounts that the information had to be collected, given to the FBI, completely separate from politicians saying, You need to look at this guy's, they're against your own terms and service, they're against what Fauci says. Take them down, flag them, don't amplify them. That's the egregious part. That has nothing to do with the FBI as far as I'm. Okay, look, if you look at, I think we talked about this, in 2000, maybe 2010 or 12, Mark Zuckerberg was Man of the Year. And he was on the cover of Time magazine. And if you read that article,
Don't let that.
I have it.
Okay.
if you read that article, in the middle of this interview, Robert Mueller, FBI director, pops his head in. Hey, I was just happened to be in the building. I just wanted to say hi, everybody. And even the reporter who wrote this Time magazine article says it was the most bizarre fucking thing I've ever seen. The FBI was already in these companies from inception. They were already for the collection. It's a beautiful system. People post pictures, there's your location, like, here I am, it's beautiful.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want that as an intelligence organization? But they were in then. And Robert Mueller, who, it must have been 2012 because they extended him for a couple of, against the Constitution, which is really funny because they're only supposed to be there for 10 years after the FBI has a sordid history. And there was a very solid law put in place. No FBI director can be FBI director more than 10 years, except Robert Mueller was in for an extra 2 years for some reason because, whatever, when Obama came in, well, we need this guy. And he was literally in the Facebook building. Oh, it just happened to be in the building. The director of the FBI? Come on. That was, so they've been there for a long, long time.
That is bizarre. Thank you, Jamie.
Oh, dynamite,
Fresh
man. Thank
coffee.
you so much. This is great, Joe. It's so fun to
great
talk
see
with you,
brother.
I'm good.
We should clarify what it actually said, though. One of the things that's interesting, he said, so this is a Mastodon thread. This guy, Stamos, who left Facebook in 2018 to lecture at Stanford, explained that law enforcement has the ability to get stored communications from companies like Twitter under 18
I do whatever
U.S.
I want, and I can do whatever I want.
Don't play. You know what you're watching.
The thing I'm most proud of is I make a shitload of money. 18 years old, and this is Teen Street. If you don't like it, you. I do whatever I want, and I can do whatever I want.
Don't play. You know what you're watching.
The thing I'm most proud of is I make a shitload of money. No regrets.
Listen to that.
Yeah, I skated for 6 years, played the drums for 6 years, and did Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Don't take that lightly.
You have to love your mom. If you don't, go f yourself.
This show is about the coolest teams in town. This is Teen Street.
My rules are, rule number 1, I make the rules. Rule number 2, no cop, no stop. Rule number 3, you. Rule number 4, you don't make the rules, I do. The final rule is, obey my rules.
Teen Street, where the coolest teens come to play. Teen Street, bitches.
First tattoo when I was 13. This is the only girl that never complains to me. I got crown, wings. Reason being is because I'm a motherfucking. I got Homer Simpson in the background of this crazy night. I got that when I was drunk. Go! All right, so now I'm gonna show you where I live. Let's do this.
This infamous D order has to be signed by a judge. He said that he added that companies can demand reimbursement for the request, which is what Twitter did. Oh no!
Oh no!
They almost got us. He said companies can demand reimbursement for the request, which is what Twitter did. Though prior to 2019, as shown by the email screenshot, the company chose not to. So they chose not to get reimbursement prior to 2019.
Oh my God, what the fuck is this?
So for a while they were doing it for free. They were doing the
Yeah, but
government's
it
work
becomes
for free.
expensive. Google has always charged them for it. I think Apple has charged them for it, and they publish those numbers. It just is not.
It's so weird.
It's all part of the distraction to keep us guessing, and whatever you do, keep posting selfies. We need you to keep posting selfies, keep letting us know what you're doing.
outside of that, there's a whole realm of what I would call machining marks that exist all over these sites in Egypt. There's a place called Abu Sir that's been closed to the public for more than 100 years. You have to get special permission to go there. It's one of my favorite sites. It's an old kingdom site, like 5th dynasty. And all over this site, you find amazing evidence for massive circular saws. You see machining marks. There are these tube drills. I've got like an hour-long documentary just on the tube drills because there's been an argument going on for 150 years about the tube drills. There is evidence for very sophisticated and powerful tools that is etched into these artifacts from the very earliest points in Egypt all over the place. And a lot of these things, they disappear in later periods of time.
Go back to that image, Jamie, that you just had. Look at that.
Yeah, so here's an example. I didn't send you any of the machining marks, but I can show them to you at some point. Yeah, so you find the tube drills are really interesting because it's a very thin tool, and what they would do, they range in size from like a 1/2 inch up to 9 inches.
And are those plugs that were removed from the stone?
So it's like a hollow tool that gets cut down, and then you snap off the core. And now Flinders Petrie, he was you familiar with Petrie? He was around like late 1800s, early 1900s. I use his work a lot in the stuff that I do because he was the first guy to apply engineering principles to what we saw, which is kind of this meta point that messes with my head a bit in that it took our civilization up to the industrial age to even be able to put some of this stuff into context. Like anyone else that looked at this stuff before we understood what machining was, what working in this stone was, what it looks like to cut stone with a circular saw, you don't have the context to explain it. So we had to get to the industrial age and develop sort of mass manufacture and engineering for us to even recognize what we're seeing here. Wow. So he found there's a famous core. It's called Petrie's core number 7, and it's a drill core from one of these holes. It's in granite, and it's located in the Petrie Museum. And this museum is one that actually allows research appointments, and you can analyze it. And it's been analyzed several times. There's been an argument that's been going on for literally 150 years about this core, because what Petrie found and what Chris Dunn later verified. Yeah, that's Petrie's core number 7, exactly right there. That, in fact, might even be Chris Dunn's photo. Those that groove that goes around it, very obvious striations, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been incontrovertibly shown that that's a spiral. It's a spiral. So it's not like just horizontal striation. So if you can imagine the way we do it today, we have tube drills and core drills. It spins really fast, makes lots of little marks. There's been studies done looking at those sort of marks. That's not what we're seeing here. What we see here is a continuous spiral groove of at least 2 points. So it's a twin spiral that runs down the length of the core. Now, from that and analyzing that, you can determine a few things. Things like how fast was this drill, or how quickly was this drill penetrating the granite. And Petrie and Dunn both analyzed it and looked at it. Well, it's about a 1 in 60 rate. So for each, say, 60 inches of horizontal travel, it's going 1 inch into the stone. So imagine that. So if you take a spiral and straighten it out, and you just imagine, right, 60 inches this way, you're getting 1 inch of vertical travel. That figure is 500 times greater than we can achieve today in terms of how fast it penetrates the granite.
500 times greater.
Now it doesn't mean it cut quicker. It could have been moving slowly, like it might have been turning slowly.
Right.
But it's penetrating the granite at a rate far greater than what we can achieve with our technology today.
This is why it's so important to bring outside eyes into this, whether it's an aerospace engineer. Like this is, going back to Troy, that was discovered by a businessman. He wasn't an archaeologist. That's something that most people don't know. It's like when you bring an outside set of eyes with different sets of experiences, they'll pick up on things that others wouldn't.
Look at that image, that all the spiral lines around that. That's just amazing.
Yeah, so you can go there, and I intend to do this. I might be in the UK this year, and I intend to do that. It's called the cotton wrap test. You can actually, under a little microscope, run a piece of cotton through that groove. Now they actually took it a step further, and they made a latex molding of it, right? And so then they sent it to Chris Dunn. The Petrie Museum did this, and then he cut reference holes in it, cut it out, and then geometrically proved.
All right. It's really good. Really good. It's just, man, why does it have to be so hard? I want money. I want big parasol. Quick ball, very good. Roxanne, I don't know, dog. I like Marnie more, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Roxanne. Okay. Can we get one of each at the very least? No, Roxanne is too good. But like Roxanne is, it's hard choices, bros. Dude, I take out the Hisuian heavy ball for it. The Hisuian heavy ball is really clutch. It's like you need it. Escape rope? I don't know. Alright, let's go back 3-3. Oops. Let's I can leave notes on here. Duplicate. Let's go -1, -2. Add that. Oh no, wrong one, sorry. A big carousel for Luigi. Okay, I think that should be fine. I would like to... Alright, let's hope for the best. Let's go.
Basically, that this is a spiral groove. Like, it starts above the line and ends below the line. He showed that that's it. And what I would love to see happen is we could get this core and then scan it with that structured light scanner, because it will put that stuff to bed, no problem. Like there's, as far as I'm concerned, this is a spiral groove. The case has been closed, but people still argue the point. But it's 100% an indicator of some form of technology that's far away beyond the primitive stuff that we attribute to the dynastic Egyptians. So to me, it's an indicator that, and I don't think the dynastic Egyptians, they don't describe having this type of capability. We've never found any tools from them that can do this type of thing. So I think what we're looking at here with dynastic Egypt is a story, it's a longer timeline. It's a story of inheritance. I think they inherited a lot of artifacts, potentially some architecture, potentially like parts of the pyramids or well, that type of thing. And then that's where their culture grew from that. I mean, they themselves describe their history as going back nearly 40,000 years. Like it's they themselves look at themselves, they look at them like a legacy culture. They, you know, this is in the Palermo stone, it's in the Turin papyrus, the priest Manetho talks about it. There's a lot of different, so that actual, the yellow image in the center, that's the latex core, no, up to the right, that one. That's the latex core, the latex molding of core number 7. But the crazy thing is too, this is the only core that's really been analyzed. Like these things, they're all over the place. Like lots of museums have them. I'd love to see a body of work be built up with true analysis of it, because...
Do they all have similar markings on them?
Well, yes, and so you can see the holes on a lot of the sites that seem to have a very clear striation on them. Some of the tubes, the actual drill cores, if you like, seem to have it that way. There were other techniques used. So the argument that how the mainstream archaeologists describe them solving this problem is they had a copper tube and they got sand and they put a rock on top of the tube and a bow drill, and they just went back and forth with this. And they did some experiments, and grinding works ultimately because sand has little chunks of like quartz and corundum in it, but it takes days and days and days to cut this much.
Right.
And the markings and the machining doesn't look anything like what you see in the ancient examples. And what's more, and what's kind of interesting here is that the drill cores that they found, they're tapered. So actually they taper in like this. The holes are straight, the cores are tapered. So it means that the tool itself must have had like almost like a cone shape. And the thing that, because some people say, well, those lines could have been created when the tool was removed. And I'm like, no. If you think about a tapered tool like this, the second you take any pressure off it, the whole tool removes itself from the surface of the stone. So those marks can't be made by withdrawal of the tool. It's 100% something going on. And Petrie, back in the late 1800s, was scratching his head looking at this stuff, and he goes, there must have been a weight of 2 or 3 tons on one. Like he sort of said it was a jeweled tube of bronze that did this. but he was looking at it. He knew a mystery when he saw it. He couldn't explain it.
What's the speculation?
Of bronze.
So even on the most conservative speculation that the Great Pyramid is only 4,500 years ago, we're not even anywhere near that now. We're
Right.
nowhere near the level of sophistication that it took them to build, and we're just guessing as to what kind of technology they had available to them. And as you pointed out, with these vases and with just the alignment to the constellations, the sophistication that's involved in the construction to get stones that are tons of stone that you can't even get a razor blade in between. Like, what the fuck was going on?
Here's the fun thing to entertain us about moving the stone. So all that black granite that came from
500 miles away.
Yeah, but the ones that came from the eastern part of Egypt.
Oh, the Wadi Hammamet quarry that's in the east. Yeah, in the mountains.
In the mountains of.
It's nowhere near the Nile.
Right, and so they would have had
it
to
ground.
You'd have to go up and down mountains to move these things that were tens of tons, like off cliffs. And because like the narrative is like, oh well, they would have brought these stones up the Nile.
Right.
Well, there's stones out there that are on the other side of the Nile in the mountains. So how did they bring those?
There's enormous stones.
Huge.
Enormous.
Well, there's 1,000-ton stones.
There's evidence. There's multiple statues that I can show you pictures of that there were single piece statues. You have the unfinished obelisk in the quarry. That's 1,200 tons. But then you have at least 3 or 4 finished statues that were 1,000 tons, single piece granite. And one of them's in a place called Tanis, which is way up in the north in the delta. That's more than 1,000 miles from where that stone came from. And then moving that thing, I mean, it was around 1,000 tons finished, single piece granite. So moving it, you may be at 1,500 tons or more, like moving that. There's a quarry in Egypt, I think it's called the Minya quarry, which has these blocks. They're still attached, where they've cut these big blocks out, and there's like an image of what looks like a giant pharaoh that's been carved on top of it. They're made from limestone. Now, maybe they were never intended to be blocks, or maybe they were never intended to be finished, but if you assume they're blocks, these 2 blocks weigh, I think it's 3,500 and 5,000 tons a piece, based on the density of limestone in that region. Like, they're not disconnected, but that's the scale. We know there's objects up to like 1,200 tons, but the fact that they moved them 1,000 miles, and we have examples. There's a stone called the Russian Thunderstone. Have you heard of this?
No.
So like in the 1700s, they took a big lump of, I think it's granite or something like that, from Finland, and they shipped it to St. Petersburg, and they carved it into a statue. It's still there today. It's the Thunderstone. It's an edifice. It weighed. That's it now. Yeah, that's the finished one. This image here is the right one. Yeah. So this is how they did it in the 1700s, the Thunderstone, and they moved it around 150 meters a day. Took them forever. And the only way they did this was by basically sinking giant logs into the ground to give them a leverage point for these capstans, and they'd move a system of rails, big steel rails with steel ball bearings behind it. It weighed about 1,500 tons, and just over a period of just very slow grinding and turning with capstans and pulleys and these steel tracks, they move it about 150 meters a day. It took them forever. And in order to get that thing across the water from Finland, they had to construct a giant barge, like a huge barge. And on each side of the barge, they would tie up 3 warships just to try and keep it stable. It's about the same size, same mass as the obelisk that's sitting in this mountainous quarry in Egypt, in Aswan. It's still in the ground. It's like 1,200 tons of granite. And you're expected to...
Hi, Matt. What's up, bro? I'm just chilling. What's up? Soon? Mm-hmm. Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.
To gravity manipulation. I think anti-gravity had to have play a part in moving some of this stuff. I actually think there's some connections to some of the work that's being done with this plasmoid implosion technology, the stuff that Randall's been looking into, that's coming back to talk a little bit about the relationship, and the sacred geometry aspects of that are similar to the things that we see in some of these cultures in the past. So that may potentially have something to do with the methods that were used in the past, but I'm convinced it was a form of advanced technology. Now, whether it's our form of technology, because let's face it, we can do things like that today, but it takes hydraulics and diesel powers and cranes and all that stuff. They may have had an entirely different avenue of tech, and that you open up into the realm of resonance and acoustics and anti-gravity. I think resonance in particular might have played a strong role, because that's certainly a feature that you see in some of these older structures, whether it's an accident or not, but some of them are incredibly resonant. The Great Pyramid generates a tone just on its own that comes from the earth in there.
It generates a tone.
It does. It generates a low tone. It's basically
you
coming
can hear
from
it,
the earth.
or is it?
If you quiet enough, you can, but it's certainly been picked up in a whole number of different experiments where they're measuring the tone. The whole structure does generate a low tone. It's an interesting thing. A lot of these places that typically have a connection to underground water as well. Like we know there's water beneath the Giza Plateau. Places like the Coricancha in Peru, which is also a giant megalithic building. There's an underwater river near there. We always see some form of flowing water associated with it. Whether or not that has something to do with it, I don't know. But it's just in that realm of, I think it's the answers lay in realms of science that are outside of our current understanding, that we should be approaching with an open mind, because we might ultimately learn something from it if we do. Instead of just dismissing it, putting it in a box and said, you know what, we're superior to every civilization that's lived before.
Right.
They're primitive. They did it with primitive methods.
Right.
Done.
Right.
All things are.
There's a better way to clean up the work schedule.
Fusion Strike Elite Trainer Box, there's actually some great cards in this set. Don't let it fool you. What else do we have? Many portfolios. Looks like those were just put out. These type of blister booster packs. Lots and lots of Brilliant Stars blister booster packs. I mean, a lot of them. Goes back all the way there. We have this type of blister pack. Fusion Strike, promos, Chilling Rain, Check Lane Blisters, which looks like it's Brilliant, Silver Tempest, so we got Silver Tempest there. I've made my decision. I want to get the Fusion Strike Elite Trainer Box, and I want to get at least one of each of these. Checking out the toy section now. Found some of the Elite Trainer Boxes. I think we may have to get a couple. They also have some more Paldea collection boxes, a lot of them. Palkia V-Star Premium Collection, Shore Arc, and these themed deck Premium Collection boxes. And last but not least, have some of these tins. I think I'll get one more of these. Got the boxes. Let's go back to the studio, open them up, and see if we can make our money back in pulls.
Back in the studio, and we have a total of $270 that I spent on the following boxes. we're gonna see if we can make our money back in pulls. But as I said before, all ultra rares pulled in today's video are going to y'all at home. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and of course, comment, because it's my birthday. Happy birthday in the comment section below. Let's begin with the first item, the Reggie Drago collection box. Now, I want to make one emphasis on prices. Usually, when a set is released, because now the set has been released for a couple days, prices on cards are pretty inflated. And I usually don't even put the prices because I let y'all know to not even really, be on the lookout for bad deals, good deals, as far as prices of cards. So with a set like Crown Zenith, just a subset, there are lots of amazing cards, and prices will probably gradually continue to go down. For this video though, trying to get to 270, which will be tough, we will have prices based off of today's current market rate, Psychic Energy. So the prices you are seeing on screen have been researched just for today, but odds are, please do your research by going to various sold listings and different sites to make sure that your cards are properly valued. That being said,